I have a let's follow the experts tutorial video for you today. I tried this once before with a Christine McConnell witch's hat tutorial and ended up with something beautiful but that doesn't fit. This time I'm following along with Bianca from the Closet Historian, and it's her drape tee video. I have been pinning this kind of t-shirt on Pinterest for the longest time, and I really like how mine have ended up, but there were some trials and tribulations getting to this point. This is how it went.
My starting pattern is the gable t-shirt, which I love and fits me really, really well. I knew I was going to need to change the neckline, so I overlaid the named pattern's Powler tee and stole the neckline from that, and that was my base pattern. The way my brain works is that I will need to have the entirety of one singular pattern in its own envelope. I can't have a bag of sleeves, a bag of backs, a bag of fronts in different places and be able to pull those things together to make a pattern. So I started out by tracing out the sleeve as is from the original gable. I also traced out the back of the modified gable so that I would have a fresh pattern piece to start working from. Then I traced out the front, and that one I knew I had to mirror because it was going to be an asymmetric design. I'm going to mention this a few times throughout the video, but I had the video tutorial that I was trying to follow on silent and a Taylor Swift concert playing in the background. This was a mistake. In my brain, I could look at what was being done on screen and translate that onto paper. Theoretically, this is true, but it does mean that I made the exact mistakes that were in the original tutorial because I wasn't listening to what was being said. I was just following what was being done. I made my neckline way too small. Once I was happy with my base pattern, I then added in all the lines that I was going to slash and spread to add the volume to achieve the asymmetric drapes which the inspiration t-shirt and video have. Then I had to cut this thing out.
I've got to iron it.
I absolutely love viscose jersey to wear. It's not actually that bad to work with, but to cut this stuff out is an absolute nightmare. It is fluid, it is drapey, it is lightweight, and it does not want to behave. Cutting out the single layer was actually a lot easier, but when it came to having to cut things on the fold, like the back of the t-shirt pattern, and then cutting the sleeves with the doubled up fabric, that definitely was more problematic than cutting the single layer.
So when I was drafting this, I was watching the Taylor Swift Eras tour on TV, and I had the sound down on the video, and I went by the first iteration that Bianca did, and I am pretty sure that she says that the neck is way too small and that she needed to add to it. That's the neck hole. I don't think my head's going through that. I think I might end up having to cut this off just so I can try this on. But this is a muslin to test the fit and everything, so I will sew it up the best way I can, and if I need to chop off the neck then I chop off the neck. This was a fabric that I'm not particularly precious about this colour. It's not a great colour on me, and Mum doesn't like it either, so it's a wearable muslin fodder. And this was, I think, £3 a metre viscose jersey from Minerva when they still had it in stock. They don't stock it anymore. So I have, I think, nearly marked in all my notches, and we're going to do that on this back piece. And then I think the first thing I have to do is add in the gathering stitches on the front piece to the shoulder and the side so that I can then gather those down to attach the front and the back. So let's get that done, which means I don't need the sleeve. This needs its notches putting in for the sleeve. A moment of realization. To be fair, I probably don't even need to actually put the sleeve on. I might have enough left of this to try the second attempt with a better neckline, so I think I might even just reserve the sleeves and try this on as a sleeveless top, which again is what Bianca does. So yeah, let's put in the gathering stitches, put in notches where the gathers are. I can take this off of the pattern piece. I have a feeling that the neck is going to be teeny tiny and I probably won't be able to get in it. Shouldn't be watching Taylor Swift whilst I'm trying to follow an expert's tutorial. My own fault. I mean, I messed up on the last one as well. When I was making the witch's hat, first thing that Christine McConnell said was make sure that you don't make the head too small. You can always pad it later. Did I listen? Well, I thought I had, and I made the head too small, and now I can't wear that hat because it hurts, but it fits Mum, so that's fine. Right, so I'm gonna go put this somewhere safe and put in my gathering stitches.
A few moments later.
I'm sewing the neck. I don't think my head's going through that, but I'm going to try. I can do this before I do up the side seams so that I can work out whether or not I need to like completely cut this neckline off and just sew up the side seams so I can try it on, or if I can actually make a top out of this. No. Yeah, that's not going on. Oh no. Oh, that's so annoying. Oh well, never mind. In fact, let's sort the side seams. Right, so I need to do, I've done the other bit of gathering. Yeah, so I just need to sew these together. So I'm gonna go back to the overlocker with the fabulous hair that I now have and get these side seams sewn up. So apart from the idiotic mistake of making the neck hole way too small, this is how the top has turned out. Oh, it's twisted. That's another thing. Hang on. Get my side seam where it's meant to be. I think I do like it. I'm wondering if maybe I need my side... I don't know. Oh, I was convinced I was going to like this. I do really like the pleats radiating from here. Let me grab my phone, which I don't know where there it is. I'm gonna have a look at the inspiration that I've got on my Pinterest. I think I need the gathering to go a bit further down. I think if it went according to my Pinterest image, there's gathering kind of like along the waist, but maybe I don't need, oh, I don't know. I think I like it. I actually kind of like this neckline as well, although I don't think there's any saving this top because I just hacked at that. The side seam is like curving forward loads though. This one's straight, but this one is massively curving forward. I mean, it's a stretch, so it's not the end of the world. Do I need more gathering? Is that what I need? Do I need more? I think I might actually need a bit more kind of like gathering to go a bit further down, because I don't want it at the waist, but I think if I added in a little bit more from here across here, I think that might look good. Maybe. I do really like this bit, so there's that. I wonder if I actually need to change where the gathering is, or if I could just change where I gather from and to. So if I started the gathering there, which is a bit further down, and moved it all the way, I don't know, I think I like it. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like on camera when I edit this, but we shall see. I do actually like it here, although that side seam does need work. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day for now and go and start editing all of this. Day 2 and back to the drawing board. Trying to follow someone's tutorial whilst not actually listening to what they are saying or watching the whole thing through for the 15th time. Clearly not the way to go. The neckline is way too small. So I need to add to my neckline, and I'm going to do it to the front and back, and I'm going to add ½ inch. Add more. You can always take away. You cannot add once you've cut your fabric, because that will give me 2 inches overall. And I think actually I'm also going to lower my neckline, because I really liked how this t-shirt looked once I'd cut off the excess at the neckline, and I've put that t-shirt somewhere safe so that there it is, so that I could show you guys. And I kept the neckline. So yeah, I actually quite liked how it looked with that much taken off and it turning itself under. We're gonna go from there, and I'm gonna say 1.5 inches from the shoulder point. I'm gonna cut quite a lot off. But I did, like I say, like how that neckline looked, and I get to just turn that in on itself. Right, so having done that to the back, now I need to do it to the front. Much shorter neckline now and wider neckline, so that should fit. Nope. So again, the back is now done, so I can put that to the side. So the other thing I did was I put my gather line too high, and so that's why the gathering, it should have gone down to there, but I do think I want to add a little bit more. Do I want to add a little bit more under the bust or from there? I think I'm going to add a little bit more from just here, which is the top of the shoulder, and I'm going to add in extra line and just kind of go along there. But this one I'm not going to do the split the whole thing apart. I'm going to hinge that bit, and I'm going to add in 3 inches there. And I think if I then make a note that my gathering should come to there and not there, just above the waist. That was a good 3 inches in the wrong, did I get that right? 3.5 inches in the wrong place. So I've added a little bit more drape and fixed the neckline hopefully. So now I need to see if I can get this piece cut out of my remaining fabric, which I think is going to be a challenge, but I'm up for the challenge. I will give it a go. Wish me luck.
I did indeed get the body of the second muslin cut out of the remaining fabric. The front piece was no issue. The back piece was a tight squeeze, as you can see here, but I did just manage it, and I promise this fabric has been ironed. It might not look like it, but it really was.
Wearable muslin? Sort of. I have sleeves on this one. The neckline is better, but it's still a little tight. I've got my PJs on. I am just not sure that I like this on me. Yeah, I don't know. The side seam is kind of curling forward again, which I guess is to be expected because there's a lot of excess like loose fabric on the bias here, so it probably will pull these forward. I was thinking I could stabilize this with some clear elastic. This side seems sitting straight, and this t-shirt fits me really well without futzing around with it, starting from a good point. I don't know, I'm liking it more in the viewfinder. I bought the ruching further down because last time it kind of stopped there, and I'm thinking maybe I need to bring it up so that it's all kind of stopping there and going over the bust that way, so at the top, so not trying to not like yeah, maybe that, so there's still ruching in there but maybe it's over the bust. I'm gonna just have a quick look in the mirror because you're very tiny. Oh, I think I prefer that because I do like that ruching detail, but I'm just wondering if it was maybe making the optical illusion that my boobs were wonky. And I mean, I know everybody has asymmetric boobs because they do, but I think I prefer that distribution of the gathers, so there's still that interest. That would mean that I need to take some of the fullness out because I've added extra, because that would be an awful lot of fullness to try and corral into that very tiny spot there. I think I prefer that to it kind of going across the boobs. I don't know, it just looks, I don't know, maybe it's because it's dipping in the middle there as well and it's really separating them. Like, I know mono boob is not supposed to be a flattering thing, but I think that's a better look. I mean, by the end of this video I will have made a decision and actually made a t-shirt up, but I do think I prefer having the fullness across the boobs, or across the top of the boobs rather than like that. But again, watching this back, I may well change my mind. I think I can imagine though I would spend a lot of the day futzing with this, and that just seems way more kind of like I don't know, I don't know. But I have other things that I've got to get on with today, so I'm going to come back to this project. I'm not going to abandon it. I will finish this project, but it will be interesting to see what these things look like on camera so that I can make some more informed decisions. Lots of you are probably screaming at your screens now, just all writing in the comments saying keep it like this or do this. I don't know. Day 3 and round 3 of drafting.
The neckline is still too small, so I've added another ½ inch to either side, which means I've added a total of 4 inches the whole way around the neck to make it fit me comfortably. Should have watched the video with the sound on. I'm not sure why it took me so long to think of this, but the seam was curving forward, as you could see. One of the things that Bianca was doing in her tutorial was straightening off the seam that she'd added the fullness to, but Bianca was starting with a block that was a lot looser on her than mine was, so it occurred to me that I could curve this side seam because that might help rectify the curve on the finished garment. Here I've ended up adding 1.5 inches, but when I go back to trace the final pattern I actually end up adding another ½ inch, so 2 inches in total, and I really like how it's come out in the final garment. It still curves but not as pronounced as it was in these earlier mock-ups.
Muslin number 3, and I actually added a curved part at the side here. I thought maybe the reason I wasn't liking it is because there wasn't enough fabric to go over the boobs without kind of stretching in the middle, and I think I'm happiest with this. I added another inch to the neckline. Very happy with the neckline. I've actually finished this one. I think I'm actually going to hem the sleeves of this one and hem the bottom of it and actually finish this one and have this as like a actually finished garment. I think possibly I could still add a little bit more room in there. possibly, but I think I prefer this. I concentrated the gathering up again last time. I took it all the way down to the waist, and this time I've kind of concentrated it under the arm so that it does do this. I think looking at it, that's better. I think I prefer this. I don't think I'm going to be fiddling with this one as much as I would be fiddling with the other ones, as much as I'm currently standing here fiddling with this. Yeah, I think I like this. It's not exactly the same as the inspiration image and Bianca's version. I think hers does have like more gathering down the front, and I suppose I could add more into this side seam. It isn't sitting completely straight, is it? But it's better than it was. I think I would be happy to cut into my good, not that this isn't good because they're all exactly the same fabrics. Mum's got a t-shirt out of this colour, and so I managed to squeeze this out of the leftovers with some creative kind of folding of the fabric, but everything is on grain. But yeah, I think I would be happy to make some of these up in my kind of better colours. This is still a good colour for me. I think it's still like a warm colour, but it's definitely more on the autumnal scale of things. But I think this is good. I might, when I trace this out, I might just add a tiny little bit more room over here so this seam sits a little straighter, because it's clearly curving, so it clearly needs a little bit more room because this one's sitting nice and straight. And like I say, I started with a t-shirt that worked really well for me, but that didn't have as much like excess fabric in it for it to pull it out of shape. It sat nicely across the boobs because it was stretchy, tight fabric. So I think I'm going to cut into some of that orange fabric. So that will be the next one that you see.
These tops are really quick to sew. The thing that takes the longest is making sure that the gathers are evenly distributed into this small amount of space that they're going to get sewn into. Once I've got all the gathering stitches sewn in, I can then take all the work over to the overlocker and start to make sure that those gathers are nicely put into the area that they're going to be sewn to. Personally, I prefer to sew with the flat side of the fabric on the bottom of the sewing machine, or overlocker in this case, and the gather side up. I know other people prefer to do it the other way, but I like to be able to see what my gathers are doing and make sure that I'm not catching any of the excess fabric in the overlocker blade, because I really don't want to cut a hole into my brand new t-shirt. Once the shoulders are overlocked, I can finish the neckline off on the sewing machine, and then it's just a case of attaching the sleeves, stitching up the side seams, and finishing off all the hems.
I absolutely love how this t-shirt has come out. I'm not sure that I'm going to make loads of them. I am not sure that it's a style that is particularly fabulous on me, but I was really pleased to try something different to my standard Gable Renfrew wanted tee or Adrian tee patterns that I usually gravitate towards, especially for this drapey viscose jersey. Someone mentioned that I might have had more luck with this particular type of top if I'd have used a sturdier fabric or a less drapey viscose type jersey. Possibly, but I don't know that I would like how that particular fabric hung on me. Also, I have a lot, I think 40 different colours, or at least I did have 40 different colours of this particular viscose jersey because I got it from Minerva Crafts. It was £3 per metre. They had 120 colours. I went through and bought a lot of the colours because it was a type of fabric that I very much enjoy wearing. I don't mind sewing with it. I don't like cutting it out. Cutting it out is a pain in the proverbial. But I have a lot of this fabric, so I need to find patterns that work for this particular type of jersey because, as I say, there is a lot of it still in the stash. So I am very happy with this one. I don't know that I would buy a thicker fabric to try this particular pattern out. Like I say, I have enough stuff in my stash already to work my way through. It could be interesting to try a slightly more, is my technical term for it, fabric like a cotton jersey with some ruching in it, although maybe not quite this much, as I do feel like that could get very bulky very quickly in certain areas. Something else that you want to think about, and you may notice with this finished garment and the muslins, is you want to think about if you care about which side the drapes come from and to. With a asymmetric pattern like this, you cut it out on a single layer of fabric, so whichever way your right side of your fabric and your wrong side of your fabric is on the table gable when you put your pattern on it will dictate which side you end up with your gathering coming from. So if that is something that bothers you, or you particularly want it to be in one particular direction for aesthetic reasons or for the kind of garments that you're going to wear it with, that is definitely something that you need to think about. I don't mind. I like both sides. Like the other t-shirt that I have, the draping is on the other side. I don't mind. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, but it is something to bear in mind when you're cutting out an asymmetric pattern like this. All in all, I'm really happy with this project. It took me about 3 days and 3 tries to get to a top that I was happy with. Something I will say again is that I did not listen to the expert and I made the neckline way too small on the first couple of iterations. I am much happier with this neckline here, and I think I ended up adding 2 inches. So listen to the experts when they make mistakes and they tell you don't do this, because, you know, it's like me when I say ask me how I know. They have made the mistake so that you theoretically don't have to, but apparently I need to go through every single trial and tribulation that they do to end up with a finished result. So the next expert video that I'm going to follow, I'm going to make sure that I actually watch it and make notes and don't have it on silent whilst listening to a Taylor Swift concert, as I did with this one. I mentioned a few of my favourite t-shirt patterns: the gable, the wanted tee, the Renfrew tee, and the Adrian specifically. I am definitely adding this, so I have my 5th t-shirt that I really like to the rotation. As I mentioned, I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to make, because these definitely, in my opinion, need to have the longer sleeves. In my brain, with a slightly higher neckline like this one, it just needs to have the longer sleeves to balance things out. I don't know where that's come from. My brain is weird. You know this, I know this, but this is going to be, for the foreseeable future, a t-shirt with longer sleeves. I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to make, but I'm really glad that I have tried it and that I have this one, and I love how it goes with my dark navy trousers, as you will have seen in the 12s. I have been absolutely amazed with how well orange fits into my wardrobe. There are so many little pops of orange in so many of my favourite prints that having something like this that's just going to pair so well with a lot of the skirts and trousers that I've made is awesome. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of my finished article, and if you have any other expert tutorials that you think I should try and follow along with. I do have plans for a silk dress with lace applique, and I will be following along with this video. Like I say, I will be listening to it fully through and taking notes before I start cutting into those super expensive fabrics. £3 a metre fabrics and £60 a metre fabrics. You're kind of more willing to experiment with the £3 a metre option, or at least I am. So yeah, I'd love to hear down in the comments if there are any other expert tutorials that you think I should follow along with. If you've enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this one here.